Stop for a second. How many tabs are open in your browser right now? How many notifications are waiting somewhere in the back of your mind? How many things are half finished, today, yesterday, last week? I'm not asking to judge you. I'm asking because Nikola Tesla felt exactly what you're feeling right now. It was 1890. He sat down at his desk. There was a blank sheet of paper in front of him. In his mind was an idea that could change the course of human history. And nothing was coming out. Hours passed. The paper was still blank. That night, Tesla understood something, and when he understood it, everything changed. That's what I want to share with you today. Not theory. Not motivation. A real system, built by a real person in a moment of real crisis, that can change the way your mind works starting tomorrow morning. Let's begin. Part 1, The Noise Inside. Here's a way to think about it. There's a radio in front of you. Beautiful, expensive, high quality. But the frequency isn't quite tuned. Music is playing but it's broken. Static. Interference. Sometimes you hear the music, sometimes only noise. That's what most people's minds look like. The ideas are there. The talent is there. The potential is absolutely there. But the frequency isn't tuned. And an untuned mind loses even the most brilliant idea inside the noise. Tesla was living this in 1890. At that time he was in a ferocious battle with Thomas Edison. Direct current versus alternating current. This wasn't just a scientific debate. It was a war worth millions of dollars. A war for cities, for factories, for the future. And Tesla could have won. The ideas in his head were powerful enough to win. But there was a problem. He couldn't reach those ideas. He'd sit at his desk, try to start working, and his mind would immediately run somewhere else. What is Edison planning right now? Are the patents filed correctly? Will there be enough money? Is this idea actually as good as I think? What if I'm wrong? 3 hours. Blank paper. Tesla realized something that night. The problem wasn't the idea. The problem was the mind. And here's what makes this important for you. Tesla was arguably the most gifted scientific mind of his era. If his mind could become his worst enemy, what does that say about the rest of us? What does that say about you, not as a criticism, but as a relief? The problem isn't your intelligence. The problem isn't your ideas. The problem is that no one ever taught your mind to obey you. And that is not permanent. That is trainable. Part 2, The Discovery. The next morning, Tesla did something unusual. He didn't run an experiment. He didn't do calculations. He didn't open a book. He sat down and watched his own mind. Like a scientist observing a new species in the wild. Cold, detached, curious. Without judgment, without interference. Pure observation. Every time his attention drifted, he wrote it down. The time, the trigger, how many minutes lost. 6 a.m., decision to work. Mind's response, Edison. 4 minutes gone. 6:04 a.m., refocus. Mind's response, hunger signal. 7 minutes gone. 6:11 a.m., refocus. Mind's response, last night's conversation. 11 minutes gone. 6:22 a.m., refocus. Mind's response, patent anxiety. 9 minutes gone. He did this for 30 days. After 30 days, a notebook was full. No formulas inside. No circuit diagrams. Just a map of his own mind. And when he looked at that map, he saw something clearly. His mind wasn't bad. It wasn't weak. It was simply untrained. Think about this for a moment. You train your body for years to get stronger. Daily repetition. Daily discomfort. One step forward at a time. But who trains the mind? Nobody. We say the body is made of muscles and muscles are trained. Why should the mind be any different? Tesla asked himself this question. And he started looking for an answer. The answer he found was not glamorous. It wasn't mystical. It was mechanical, systematic, and surprisingly simple, but it required something most people are unwilling to give: consistency without exception. Part 3, The System. Tesla built a system. 3 rules. They look simple. When you actually apply them, you realize they're not. Rule 1, One door. Every morning, before sitting down at his desk, Tesla closed what he called the noise doors. No letters opened. No newspapers. No visitors. No conversations carried over from the night before. For the first 2 hours of every morning, his mind would make contact with exactly one thing. The work. In today's language, no phone, no notifications, no social media, no news, no messages. But the real rule, the one that actually made the difference, was this: the desk would not be left until those 2 hours were complete. Under no circumstances. No exception. No negotiation. The first week was hard. Very hard. His mind screamed. It invented emergencies. It said, just 1 minute. It said, just let me check this one thing. It was brilliant at generating reasons to stop. Tesla stayed anyway. The second week, the screaming got quieter. The third week, something happened. Tesla sat down at his desk and his mind, almost automatically, almost without being asked, began to focus. Why? Because his mind now knew, there is no exit from this place. No escape. The only thing to do here is work. The place with no escape route is the place where the mind adapts fastest. This is not a metaphor. This is how habit formation actually works. When the brain detects that a behavior is unavoidable, it stops resisting that behavior and starts optimizing for it instead. Tesla wasn't fighting his mind. He was redesigning its environment. Rule 2, Don't fight the thought, file it. Tesla noticed something subtle but critical. Every distracting thought arrived with a signal: this is important. Look at me. Deal with me right now. And every time he gave in to that signal, every time he followed the thought, even briefly, the next distracting thought came in stronger. Because his mind had learned something: if I make enough noise, he follows me. So I'll keep making noise. He was training his mind in the wrong direction without realizing it. Every surrender was a lesson. Every time he chased a distraction, he was voting for more distraction. The new rule was simple but required everything: when a distracting thought arrives, don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Don't argue with it. Just acknowledge it and file it. Edison concern, filed. Hunger, filed. Patent anxiety, filed. Yesterday's argument, filed. Then return. This seems like nothing. It isn't nothing. When you fight a thought, you give it energy. It grows. You fight harder. It grows more. This loop has no exit, but when you acknowledge a thought quietly, when you say, in effect, I see you, you're noted, you are not important enough to interrupt me right now, the thought loses its power. It has been heard. It no longer needs to shout. Tesla found that after a few weeks of this practice, the distracting thoughts didn't disappear. But they got quieter. More polite. They learned their place. This is what people from the outside interpret as effortless focus. It's not effortless. It's trained. Every thought that was filed instead of followed was one more vote for a quieter, more obedient mind. Rule 3, Give the mind rest before it burns. Tesla worked 18 hours a day. Everyone who knew him was amazed by this. They assumed it was supernatural willpower. Some kind of inhuman capacity. It wasn't. The secret was far smarter than willpower. Every 90 minutes of deep work was followed by exactly 15 minutes of complete mental emptiness. Not rest the way most people rest, scrolling, talking, consuming, filling the silence with more input. True emptiness. A slow walk. Sitting by the window watching the street below. Standing still with eyes closed. Nothing entering the mind. Nothing being processed. Modern neuroscience now confirms exactly what Tesla discovered by instinct. The brain's capacity for sustained focus operates on limited fuel. That fuel depletes with use. But unlike physical fuel, it replenishes remarkably fast, if and only if you give the mind genuine, complete rest between work sessions. Tesla explained it the way an engineer would: the mind is a machine. Every machine generates heat under load. If you don't cool a heated machine, it burns itself out. The rest period is not a weakness, it is the mechanism that makes sustained performance possible at all. Most people, when they feel focus fading, push harder. A little more. Just a little more. They assume more effort compensates for depleted capacity. It doesn't. You cannot push your way through empty fuel. The harder you push on empty, the worse the output becomes. Tesla understood this instinctively. By stopping completely every 90 minutes, he ensured that when he started again, he started with full capacity. Not diminished capacity stretched over 18 hours. Full capacity, replenished and deployed in disciplined blocks. The total output was greater. Not because he worked longer, many people worked longer. Because he worked at full capacity consistently throughout the day. Part 4, 6 months later. 6 months passed. Tesla's assistant noticed something. He came to Tesla one morning looking genuinely puzzled. "Mr. Tesla," he said, "working with you is a strange experience. I never see you struggle. I never see you thinking. The ideas seem to arrive already complete. Does your mind never resist you? Does it never fight you the way mine fights me every single day?" Tesla looked at him for a moment. Then he smiled. But it was the smile of someone who had fought a long war and come out the other side, not untouched, but undefeated. "The opposite is true," he said. "I think more now than I ever have in my life. My mind works harder now than it did 6 months ago." Then what changed? Before, I was at war with my mind. Every day, every hour. It pulled in one direction, I pulled in another. Neither of us won. We just exhausted each other. He paused. What changed is that I stopped fighting it and started training it. From the outside, those two things look identical. From the inside, they are completely different. And it was in this period, these 6 months of systematic, unglamorous, daily mental training, that Tesla produced the breakthroughs that would define his entire legacy. His work on the AC motor reached its decisive phase. His theoretical framework for radio wave transmission crystallized into something he could finally put on paper. The rotating magnetic field concept, which had eluded him for years despite his clear intuition that it was real, suddenly became concrete enough to build. Were these coincidences? No. They were the direct result of a mind that had learned to obey. Because here is what most people never understand about output, about creativity, about extraordinary work of any kind: the quality of the idea matters far less than the quality of the mind receiving it. A brilliant idea landing in a distracted, untrained mind gets lost. It gets interrupted before it's complete. It gets second-guessed out of existence. It gets buried under noise. The person who had it walks away thinking, "I had something there, I could feel it, but I couldn't quite get to it." They blame themselves, or blame the idea, or blame their circumstances. The idea was fine. The mind wasn't ready. The same idea landing in a trained, disciplined, obedient mind gets executed. Gets followed through to completion. Becomes real. Tesla's mind had become the second kind. And so his ideas became real. Part 5, The Real Truth. After Tesla died, his notebooks were found and studied. Pages of formulas. circuit diagrams. Theoretical frameworks for technologies the world wouldn't fully understand for decades after his death. But on one page, in the middle of a notebook otherwise full of equations, a single sentence was written in large, deliberate letters: training the mind must come before producing the idea. Because an untrained mind will strangle even the most brilliant thought before it can draw its first breath. Now I want to tell you something directly. Your mind's failure to obey you is not permanent. It is trained. Every morning the alarm goes off and you say, 5 more minutes, that is a training session. You are teaching your mind that disobedience works here. That resistance produces results. Every time you sit down to work and open your phone instead, training session. Escape is permitted here. Distraction is rewarded. Every time you're halfway through something difficult and you stop, training session. Giving up is acceptable. Discomfort ends things. But, every morning the alarm goes off and you get up, training session. Disobedience produces nothing here. Every time you sit down and keep the phone away, training session. This is a mind that works. Every time you push through the difficult middle, training session. This mind finishes what it starts. By age 30, most people have run tens of thousands of training sessions. The only question that matters is which direction those sessions were running. Tesla, for 50 years, chose the same direction every single time. That is why his mind obeyed him completely. Not genetics. Not a gift. Not the mystical discipline of a genius. Systematic, daily, consistent training in one direction. And this is available to you. Not someday. Starting tomorrow morning. Part 6, What this means for you. You are not broken. Your mind is not your enemy. It is not defective. It is not weaker than other minds. It is untrained. And like everything untrained, it takes the path of least resistance. This is not a character flaw. This is physics. The question is not whether your mind can be trained. It absolutely can. The question is whether you are willing to see every moment of resistance for what it actually is, a training session, happening right now, that will shape the next one. Tomorrow morning the alarm will go off, training session. You'll sit down to work and the phone will pull at you, training session. You'll be in the difficult middle of something and want to stop, training session. You'll have promised yourself something and the moment will come and you won't feel like it, training session. Every single one of these moments is a vote. A vote for the mind you will have 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now. Tesla's desk waited for him every morning. No questions. No excuses accepted. He showed up. Every morning. Not because it was easy. Not because he felt inspired. Because he had decided, with the cold, clear precision of an engineer, that his mind was a machine requiring training, and training required showing up. The result, after years of this, a mind that when asked to focus, focused completely. When asked to work, worked without resistance. When asked to receive an idea, received it fully and followed it through. Not sometimes. Not on good days. Always. This is what a trained mind looks like from the outside, effortless. Natural. As if the person was simply born that way. They weren't. They trained. One session at a time. One morning at a time. One decision at a time. If something in what you just heard shifted the way you think about your relationship with your own mind, here is your first training session, tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you check any message or notification or feed, spend 20 minutes working on one single thing. Not 2 things. 1. Watch when your mind tries to escape. Notice the direction it runs. Don't fight it. File it. And return. That's where everything begins. One session. One decision. One morning. Go.